Hope County, Montana. At first glance, it looks like the perfect American countryside. Quiet farmlands, fishing spots, and endless wilderness. But underneath the beauty lies control, fear, and fanaticism. The project at Eden's Gate has taken over, with Joseph Seed, the father, and his family running the county like their personal kingdom. In Far Cry 5, you don't arrive as a hero. You come in as a deputy, just doing your job. But the second you set foot in Hope County, everything changes. A routine arrest turns into chaos, and you quickly realize you're trapped in a land ruled by a cult that sees you as the enemy. The Seeds, Joseph, Jacob, John, and Faith, aren't cartoon villains. They're manipulative, charismatic, and terrifying in their own ways. Each one controls a piece of the county, bending people to their will through fear, drugs, or brute force. What makes this setting so powerful is how it blends normal life with horror. One minute you're driving through gorgeous mountains or fishing in a quiet lake, and the next you're being ambushed by cultists in pickup trucks blasting propaganda. Hope County is alive, and it feels like a place that could exist, and that's what makes it even scarier. Released in 2018, Far Cry 5 was a turning point for the series. Ubisoft shifted the franchise away from the exotic jungles and remote islands, bringing the conflict much closer to home. Hope County felt familiar, yet unsettling, with its small towns, gas stations, church steeples, and rural landscapes. It wasn't some faraway battleground. It looked like somewhere you might actually drive through on a road trip. And that's what made the cult takeover hit harder. Unlike past entries where the story pushed you in one direction, Far Cry 5 let you tackle the map however you wanted. You could recruit guns for hire or fangs for hire, storm outposts, guns blazing, or quietly sabotage from the shadows. Vehicles, aircraft, fishing, and hunting weren't just side distractions. They fleshed out the world, making it feel like a living sandbox. And while the narrative divided fans, it was ambitious. Ubisoft wasn't afraid to explore themes of faith, extremism, and how fragile freedom could be. The Seeds weren't just villains, they embodied ideas, with each sibling representing a twisted philosophy. Whether you loved it or hated, Far Cry 5 sparked conversations, and it cemented itself as one of the boldest entries in the franchise. Now, to start off the Platinum journey, I looked up a guide on PSN Profiles. This normally gives me a rough estimate of how long the game should take me to complete, and according to PSN Profiles, Far Cry 5 should take me around 25 to 30 hours to finish. Now, real quick, I do have some experience with this game. I actually completed a full playthrough of it back in 2021 on PC, but I only finished the story and it still took me like 24 hours according to Steam. But look, I know my biggest weakness when it comes to open world games, and that's I like to explore and try to get all the best stuff as early as I can to help me through my playthrough to make it a little bit easier. But anyways, with that behind us, I started up the game and I was looking forward to this one since I had prior experience. But we are introduced to the Rookie, also known as Rook, who's a brand new deputy who is sent with the sheriff and 2 other deputies and a federal marshal to arrest Joseph Seed. Now, I know I already talked about it a little bit, but a little bit more backstory. Joseph Seed runs a cult and is basically preparing for the end of the world. He believes he is a prophet from God and was told to prepare Hope County. He has his 2 brothers and a sister as his leaders of each piece of the county. But the Seed family will stop at nothing to turn every person in Hope County into a mindless follower, whether they use drugs, violence, or fear. But anyways, back to the story. We arrive at Joseph's compound and it's up to me, the Rookie, to arrest Joseph. But once we do, it begins the end of the world as we knew it. We jump in the helicopter and try to escape, but unfortunately Joseph's followers are willing to sacrifice their lives to get him back. One of them manages to fly into the helicopter's propeller, which causes the helicopter to fail and crash, which then Joseph Seed escapes and we begin to run away while we can from the cult followers. We managed to meet up with the federal marshal and we attempted to get away, but we were stopped. We ended up going off of a bridge, and this is when we meet up with Dutch, who is living on a bunker on an island in the middle of Hope County. Before we get started on our journey, we have to liberate Dutch's island from the cultists, and once we manage to take it back, we manage to unlock the first trophy of the run, the Spark, and with that one, we're locked into the Platinum run for this game. Right after this though, the world opens up to you and you're able to essentially do whatever you want. Go to whatever province you want. So I decided I actually wanted to play this game completely opposite of the first time I played it. So I headed north to find the Whitetail Resistance and face off against Jacob Seed. During the trek to the north, I ran into my favorite Fang for Hire and managed to recruit Peaches, who I would be using for a majority of this playthrough since I love to play these games quietly. But once I recruited Peaches, I got the trophy Peachy Keen. Right after this, I hopped into a car and made a straight shot for north. And the only reason I'm telling you any of this is because during the drive up there, I managed to defeat my 25th enemy while driving and got the trophy Road Gunner. Remember how I mentioned I really like stealth? Well, shortly after the last trophy, I managed to get my 25th takedown for the trophy Close and Personal. After progressing the story for a little while, I managed to further progress the liberation of the North, and I managed to complete the first trial from Jacob and got the trophy Only You. I also finally managed to collect all resistance points in the north and got the trophy, Kicking the Hornet's Nest. Now I had a little bit of an issue with finishing Jacob's territory. For some reason the final mission was not popping for me, so I actually decided to move on to Faith's territory. And when I first got there, I managed to buy all of the attachments for a weapon and got the trophy Locked and Loaded. After collecting enough resistance points in Faith's territory, she managed to find me and invited me into the Bliss, where I got the trophy Walk the Path. I also managed to liberate my 5th area while in Faith's territory and got the trophy Liberator. At this point in the game, all I had really done was the main story, and I did knock out some of the guns for hire. So at this point, I didn't really have too many trophies, and I decided I wanted to knock out a few of the easier ones just to up that trophy count. I started off by completing 3 side quests and got the trophy What Now? I also purchased $1,000 worth of clothing for the trophy Fashion First. I also managed to talk to the 50th person within Hope County for the trophy Ain't No Wallflower. At this point, I was soaring through Faith's territory and managed to collect all the resistance points within no time. Once I collected all the points, I managed to get the final mission to pop up and I faced off against Faith and won. But during all those main missions, I got the following trophies: Sewer Rat, Blissful, and Saving Sheriff Whitehorse. After finally taking down Faith and destroying her bunker, I decided to go back to Jacob's territory. And when I finally got there, the final mission did pop up, so I managed to complete it, and after finally defeating him, I managed to make my way into his bunker and I saved Deputy Pratt. And once I managed to save the deputy, I got the trophy Saving Deputy Pratt. I also finally got tired of driving the same vehicle and purchased some more vehicles and got the trophy Stock Garage. With my new vehicles, I decided it was finally time to focus on running people over. Yeah, that sounds really bad. But I eventually got the trophy Squash and Run. Now, I do want to say I really enjoyed the Guns for Hire feature in this game. Like, sure, maybe the AI isn't the smartest, but they can be super useful in the right situation with the correct AI. So after unlocking Herc, I managed to just tell him to shoot rockets at everything, and eventually he managed to take out 15 enemy vehicles and got the trophy the Herc Rocker. I then went to the south and found Nick Rye, and after helping him get his plane back, I got the trophy A Wing and a Prayer. Right after this though, you get access to Nick's plane. So I decided to stack up 4 different vehicles, and I dropped a bomb on them using Nick's plane and got the trophy Death from Above. The next thing I decided to do was go find a random bison, and I decided to melee it. Thankfully the shovel wins, because I managed to take down the bison pretty quickly and got the trophy Ignoble Beast. I then continued to press on with the main story and progressed into John Seed's territory in the south, as it was the last one I needed before completing the game. After some time, I managed to complete the trophy You Are Wrath. At this point, I had done so much of the main story, I was kind of getting burnt out, so I decided I wanted to work on some of the side content to really make myself feel better and try to go for more trophies, because up till this point, it felt like the game was dragging. But I did manage to find a man who believes in aliens and completed all of his missions and eventually got the trophy Science Fact. Up till this point I had taken out 2 enemies with the tractor by just running them over. Well, this new tractor made it a lot easier, and I managed to take out 3 more enemies and unlock the trophy Fertilizing the Land. While I was finishing the last mission for John Seed's territory, I was actually being driven and I was the gunner in the back seat, and while I was firing random bullets into a group of enemies, I randomly unlocked the trophy Ghost Kill. I'm not really sure how I managed to get this one, but I'm not complaining. I then finally managed to collect all the resistance points I needed for John's territory, and I finally managed to save the last deputy and got the trophy Saving Deputy Hudson. Shortly after this, I was able to encounter Joseph Seed, and this was the final mission. But before I went on to confront Joseph, I got a call from Kim Rye. She sounded worried, so I rushed over and had to drive her and Nick to the midwife for their baby girl to be delivered. And at the end of this, I got the trophy Special Delivery. Now it was time to finally confront Joseph Seed, who just wanted me to leave him alone. But after finally taking him down, and it looked like we were gonna win, some nukes touched down. The sheriff and the other deputies and I rushed to Dutch's bunker, but on the way we wrecked the car. Joseph got out, and I went to look for him. But turns out he took out Dutch and locked him and I in the bunker together. And that's where he told me that I was his family now. Shortly after this, the credits rolled, and I got the trophy Together Forever. And that was the story done. So with the main story finally done, I decided to start working on some of the miscellaneous trophies to try to knock out as many as I could. I started off with finding a piece of the cult property in Jacob's territory, since I realized I never managed to destroy one. So I traveled back up to the north and I finally found one, and I destroyed it and got the trophy Troublemaker. I then found a bull and popped some steroids and managed to one-hit KO it, and I sent that bull into the stratosphere for the trophy Where's the Beat. I then used all the saved up materials I had gathered throughout the main story and crafted more buffs and got the trophy Extra Crafty. I then went on and got in a helicopter and kept jumping out at the highest elevation and used my wingsuit to glide, and eventually I traversed over 5,000 meters and got the trophy Like a Bird. I was then forced to look up one collectible item that I was missing, and then I eventually found it and I got the trophy Pack Rat. I went on to complete a Clutch Nixon challenge in each region and got the trophy The Greatest SOB to Ever Live. At this point in the story, I started cleaning up some additional cult properties, and I was trying to work on finishing some of the prepper stashes. This way I could get as many perk points as possible. But while cleaning out some of the cult bases, I managed to distract my 15th enemy using a rock and got the trophy Opportunity Knocks. I also finished up my 3rd prepper stash and got the trophy Scavenger. I then spawned in a bunch of helicopters and destroyed it with another plane and got the trophy Ace Killer. At this point I was also working on trying to catch all of the fish within the game, and I eventually sold my 20th fish for the trophy Fish Market. Now at this point I only had a few more trophies left within the main game, but I still had to complete the arcade mode. And I knew it was going to be difficult, especially since a lot of people online had been talking about that you probably wouldn't be able to complete it. The first thing I did in the arcade was complete 5 games in Arcade Hero and got the trophy Arcade Hero. I went online regardless and managed to find someone hosting a game with 11 people in a 12-man lobby. So I knew I needed to do it now or never. My first game online was terrible. I only managed to get 3 kills, and I knew this was going to take me forever. My second game I only got 5 kills, and I told myself if I can get 5 per game, it'll be quick. I'm not really sure what happened, but in my third game I finally got access to using the AK, and I managed to snag 26 kills. And from there on out, for the next 5 or so games, I managed to finish with 20 plus kills every single game, and I got the trophy Arcade Hunter. I managed to finish this one in absolutely no time, and I was genuinely surprised. Now everything else in the arcade can be completed with 2 consoles, so I took a break from the arcade and I went back to the main story. I wanted to try to collect as many skill points as I could, so I went on to complete a bunch of prepper stashes since they almost always had 1 to 3 skill points in them, which meant I could unlock the skills quicker. And after some time, I finally managed to get the trophy Survivalist. I started working on completing the fishing and hunting challenges. The fishing in the game is no problem, especially since you only are required to get 1 fish, and the hunting is similar since you only need to get 1 animal. But let me tell you, actually finding some of these animals is absolutely ridiculous. My prime example is the bald eagle. I went to the exact location and I couldn't find it for an hour. I was even running with Boomer, who tags all animals and enemies within a certain radius. But eventually after an hour or so I managed to find my first bald eagle, and after a couple shots I came down with the trophy Been There, Done That. I next had to look up a guide on the best way to get sabotage explosive kills. Discovering I could do this at Jacob's compound, I started there. This was one of the best places since if you're fast enough when you spawn in, there's always a guy sitting in front of a car at the front of the compound. But the problem? He doesn't always die from the explosion. So after roughly 9 to 10 tries, I finally got the trophy Explosive Surprise. Now I had 3 trophies left related to the main story and 3 trophies left related to the arcade. I decided to turn on one of the other PlayStation 5s in the house and go for the arcade one first. I managed to figure out how to complete 10 featured arcade maps, and during the process I also reached level 20, which means I actually got 2 trophies, Arcade Player and Arcade Competitor. After finally reaching level 20, I saved up most of the credits you earn from leveling and eventually used them all to purchase $50,000 worth of vehicles, and I managed to get the trophy Big Spender. I decided now was the time to go back to the arcade for the last arcade trophy I needed. I went back and finally completed 10 maps to the end within the featured section and got the trophy Arcade Enthusiast. One of the last things I needed to do within the main game though was to beat all the state records for fish so I could end up getting the last fishing pole. And I was genuinely surprised because this one didn't take as long as I thought it would. But once I managed to catch all the fish I needed, I managed to unlock the 4th fishing rod in the game and got the trophy Hope County Master Angler. Now the last thing I needed to do was complete 3 missions with a friend. So I do what I do best. I call upon myself and I booted up my second PS5 and logged into a different account. And I managed to complete 3 missions and got the trophy Hitting It Off. And with that final trophy came the Platinum. We always had faith in you. And it finally popped and we were finally done. So how was the Far Cry 5 Platinum experience? Was the game as enjoyable as I remembered it? Would I recommend this one? Honestly, that's a tough one to answer. I had a lot of fun with this game, probably just as much fun as I had the first time I played it. However, for some reason this game was extremely difficult for me to get into. For some reason, the entire first week of me trying to play this game, I would play for a small amount of time and then stop, and it was like I just wasn't having fun with it at first. I do think a lot of it had to do with the fact that I've literally played Far Cry 3, 4, Primal all back to back, with only one game separating in between them. So it felt like I was just slightly tired of the series. But I knew I wanted to finish Far Cry series and move on to a different one. So I finally decided to lock in and get a move on. And that's what I finally did. I finished the game after a solid 2 weeks of playing, and let me tell you, it was a massive struggle towards the end too. Trying to complete all the little challenges and trying to beat all the fishing state records became a little bit too much just because of the repetitiveness. None of it was very difficult. For me, I definitely think one of the big things that saved me within this game is I didn't remember too much about the ending of the game. So it felt like I was almost seeing it for the first time again. I definitely think playing all the Far Cry games so close back to back kind of numbed the experience for me and made it a little bit more difficult, but I'm glad I finally finished this one, but I don't think I would recommend the Platinum to anyone. Sure, I complain about the fishing and hunting, but let's also not forget about all the arcade things that you have to complete. And that's even if there is still people online playing it. I got extremely lucky and managed to finish it when I did, but who knows, in a month from now, 2 months from now, a year from now, there may not be anyone on it. So I don't think I would recommend this Platinum to most people. But anyways, my name is Mitch and thanks for stopping by GamerRN. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to hit the like button and subscribe. Feel free to comment any games or series of games you want to see me play or review. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope to see you in the next one.